Hello everybody. Welcome my dear students of grade 6 to our online classes. Today we are going to start our first session for explaining our story for the second term, The Merchant of Venice. Let's start. The title of our story is The Merchant of Venice. So, what do you know about Venice? Venice is a city in Italy where the story takes place. It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. What does a merchant do? A merchant is a person who buys goods and sells them to people. In our story, the merchant is called Antonio. And what does a money lender do? A money lender is a person who lends people money and takes it more than he gives. As we said, our story takes place in a city in Italy called Venice. Antonio is a rich merchant and he has a friend called Bassanio. Bassanio is a handsome young man from a good family and his father left him a little money, but unfortunately he spent it all. Antonio was a generous man. He always helped his friends and gave money to his best friend Bassanio from time to time when things were difficult for him. In the first chapter, we will also know about Portia. Portia is a beautiful rich woman who lived in Belmont. Her father left her a lot of money. Bassanio, Antonio's friend, wanted to marry Portia, but he didn't have enough money. And also lots of young men visited Portia and asked to marry her. They gave her lots of expensive presents, but Portia hadn't agreed to marry anybody. But Bassanio was worried that she would soon be tired of saying no and agreed to marry any other one. So Bassanio went to his friend Antonio to ask him to lend him some money to buy new clothes and get expensive presents for Portia. Antonio didn't have money because he sent all his ships at sea and he was waiting for them all to return. But when Antonio saw the sad look in Bassanio's eyes, he felt sorry for him and he thought for another idea to borrow the money from Shylock. But who was Shylock? Shylock was the money lender. He was a very rich man. He lent money to people and made them pay back more than they had borrowed. He hated Antonio and wanted to hurt him. But why do you think Shylock hated Antonio? Before knowing the answer, we have to ask and answer some questions. The first question here, who is Antonio? So, who can tell me? Great. Antonio is a rich merchant in Venice. He was a generous man. His best friend is Bassanio. Question 2. Why did lots of young men visit Portia's house? Yeah, who can tell me? Lots of young men visited Portia's house to ask her to marry them. And the last question, why couldn't Antonio lend his friend the money he wanted? Of course, because he didn't have money, all his ships at sea, and he was waiting for them all to return. Now let's know more about Shylock's character. Shylock was unkind to his daughter Jessica and didn't allow her to go outside the house. She did all the housework for her father, like a servant. But why did Shylock hate Antonio? Shylock hated Antonio because he sometimes lent people money for free, and this, of course, was very bad for Shylock's business. So he was waiting for the right time to hurt Antonio if he could. That afternoon, Antonio went with his friend Bassanio to ask the moneylender if he could borrow 3,000 gold coins from him. So he will borrow an amount of money which equals 3,000 gold coins. Shylock agreed to lend Antonio the money, but if Antonio didn't pay them back on time, Shylock would take a pound of Antonio's flesh. What does this mean? He will take a part of Antonio's body. Pound equals approximately a half a kilo, and flesh means a part of his body. After that, Antonio, Shylock, and Bassanio went at once to the moneylender's office. There, Antonio signed a bond that said Shylock would lend him 3,000 gold coins for 3 months, and if he couldn't pay the money back on time, Shylock would take a pound of Antonio's flesh. Bond here means an agreement. So they signed the agreement and they took the money. Now you have to answer these questions and then send them to your teachers to be checked. The first question, why did Shylock hate Antonio? Number 2, what would happen if Antonio didn't pay back Shylock's money on time? Number 3, why did Bassanio want to borrow some money from Antonio? Thank you, my dear students, and see you later.